So to prove she was wrong, I moved further south. Started in Florida and made my way, and I'm now in North Carolina, and I'm married to a lovely southern gentleman. He's from South Carolina. However, when I go to Canada, everybody says I sound like I'm from somewhere else, like in the South, but when I'm in the South, everybody says you sound like you're from somewhere else, you must be from the North. I'm a mix. Am married. Now I'm going to start crying. I didn't prepare anything. I thought about it. Unfortunately, I didn't get her fearlessness. And so it's hard for me to get up in front of people. Although I am a teacher, so if I sit here and think you guys are my 14-year-old students, that might help. Because I can tell them what to do with no problem. And so the things that I want to say about Aunt Mary, and we called her Aunt Mary, but we also called her endearingly, not as an epithet, but endearingly as Crazy Aunt Mary. Because she did march to the beat of her own drum. Because I can remember her wearing the stilettos and the leggings and the shirts, and I can remember her wearing, in the 70s when it was cool for somebody my age that was a teenager, to be wearing the headbands and the striped socks with the toes. Aunt Mary was wearing the headbands and the striped socks with the toes. So that was Aunt Mary. She did what she had to do. What I remember about her is, I don't remember specific addresses. I remember going to her house one time, and she had a closet that was all mirrored. And I don't know if that was when she was at Carrie's, when she had the basement, I think. And I can remember she always took you down there and let me go through her closet. I remember the first time she did that was when she was living with Uncle Rob in the great big 3-story house with the hidden door to the 3rd story that she had to go search for. And she let you go up in there, and that's where her sewing room was, in her dark room, and she taught me how to develop pictures. And I can remember she looked at me when I was about 12 or 13. Visiting after we moved to Nova Scotia. And I went in there, and she said, "Oh, Mandy," she said, "well," she said, "you stayed little." And when she said little, she didn't mean skinny little. She meant short little like her. Because all the other cousins had gotten taller. So she says, "You're still close enough to my size. You can fit some of my clothes." And I can remember some of the clothes that she got me. She taught me a lot, and the things that I remember about her is she would just show up. My daughter got married almost 3 years ago, and that was the last time I saw her personally. And we sent her the invitation, but we never heard anything. And I didn't really expect her to come because she went back and forth and wintered. And oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting hot now. And so there was some miscommunication. She says she tried to call, but we didn't know. And we all looked for her, though. And then I turned around, and I looked, and there were her and Carrie just sitting in the pews. I, myself, would never have just shown up at somebody's wedding in another country, in another state. Now, she did know her sister was going to be there, but not really knowing anybody, and just show up at the church and just be there. And all of my daughter's little friends were like, "Which one's Aunt Mary?" And I finally looked at her because she was wearing her hat. And I went, "That's crazy Aunt Mary." You could tell. And that's why, because she really did what she wanted to do. And that's what I remember about her. Now, I will quibble a little bit. She gave lots of advice. She had great judgment. Probably 95% of the time. Well, there was wine involved. She wasn't always the best judge of things. Exactly, but she had fun, and I know how upset I was when I found out what had happened to her in Mexico, and how she'd gone in for surgery, and then she was in a coma, and then I got the call from my mom. And my mom started crying, and I started crying, and all that stuff. But then after I had a little bit of time to get over the shock, I can remember thinking, how very merry of her to go to another country, act like nothing was wrong. She had just spent so much time with her best friend. She had just talked to my mother on the phone a couple days before and had a great conversation. We had been Facebooking. I had just seen her not too long before that. And she went in like nothing was wrong, and there was a picture of her on Facebook showing her having drinks the night before. So she went in there like nothing was wrong. And then, unfortunately, she didn't make it out of there. But when I heard about the coma, I was really happy that the next day I did find out that she died. Because when I found out that she could have possibly had brain damage. I have a daughter who just graduated as a nurse. Because of the length of time it took her to resuscitate her, she would never have wanted to live as a burden, or not be able to get in her car and tap her brakes and have her ideas. She would have been devastated had that been her life. So, how very Aunt Mary for her to not only live her life the way she wanted, but to die the way she wanted in a foreign country where they don't speak the same language, where you don't know if you can get her back to Canada. And when you tell people the story, they look at you and say, wow. We have a reality show. Because that was our family. And that was the Smirle side of the family. And so how very like her, not only to do all that, but to show back up in Canada on her 70th birthday. For everybody to celebrate, don't forget, it's my birthday, I have not left. So, Mary lived her life the way she wanted to live her life. I've never been as courageous as her, but she taught me a lot. But it was always great when she was around. We had heated arguments, we had fun arguments. There was lots of drinking going on, lots of bottles of wine, lots of stuff. But she was wonderful, and she lived the way she really wanted to live. Because even when she was married, she was never your typical domestic wife. So she did everything the way she wanted to do everything, and she dressed the way she wanted to do so. Hence the no black. Black wasn't suitable, so I thought I'd come bright and cheery. And so, but she left the way she lived. And if she could have chosen a way to go and sat down and written it, she couldn't have written the script any better for how it actually happened. And so, even though we're really sad that she was gone, it was devastating to find out how very apropos for Aunt Mary. And that's all I would like to say.